Welcome to The Explainer. Today we are going on a bit of a linguistic detective mission, actually. We're looking at a rather chaotic, highly fragmented transcript pulled straight from a really fascinating Pashto cartoon titled Crow Biryani. Now, if you just glance at the raw source text, it initially seems like, well, a rapid-fire jumble of words. But beneath that apparent chaos is this perfectly structured, absolutely hilarious comedic narrative just waiting to be decoded. So, we're going to break down this transcript piece by piece to see exactly how comedic timing and repetitive dialogue work in this entirely unique animation.
Okay, let's dive into this. What exactly goes wrong in a cartoon about crow biryani? I mean, the title alone gives us a massive hint that this won't exactly be your standard high-end culinary experience, right? We're looking at a text that heavily features two characters locked in what feels like an endless, frustrating, and wildly absurd dialogue. Our job today is to figure out the central mystery of this whole scene. How does a super simple transaction for a plate of food spiral completely out of control?
Section 1. Setting up the shop and the clues within the chaos. To make sense of this fast-paced cartoon, we really need to act as investigators first and isolate our known variables. Now, what's really interesting about this is how it grounds our frantic text right into a classic comedic setting. We've got our characters, Jamil and Zaman Baba. The setting, a simple dukan, or local shop, and the item is, of course, biryani. It's this incredibly grounded, everyday commercial transaction that makes the impending absurdity hit so much harder.
Moving right along to Section 2, the endless greetings and a comedic loop. So before any actual business can take place, we get stuck in this staggering volume of pleasantries. We've got Assalamu alaikum on one side and wa alaikum salam on the other. Over and over again in the text, Zaman Baba and Jamil just bounce these greetings back and forth. Now, obviously, this is a standard, highly respectful greeting, meaning peace be upon you and unto you peace. But here, the sheer repetition becomes utterly absurd. The animator is essentially using this extreme repetition as a deliberate comedic pacing tool, stretching the tension and making us, the viewers, wonder if they are literally ever going to get to the point. And then, just when it feels like this loop of politeness will never, ever break, the pleasantries finally end. The characters suddenly stop their greetings, the respectful nods are totally out of the way, the comedic tension is peaked, and they abruptly shift their entire focus to the shop's goods.
Which brings us to Section 3, the rupee transaction and getting down to business.
Let's move to and see how this builds, because the dialogue maps out this incredibly rapid, three-step escalation leading straight to our conflict. Step 1, Jamil hands over his rupees. The money is exchanged. Step 2, Zaman Baba hands over the much-anticipated crow biryani. But then, bam, we slam into Step 3. Jamil examines his purchase and realizes it is kharab, which means spoiled. The pacing here goes from agonizingly slow during the greetings to incredibly fast during the transaction, totally mimicking the sudden, jarring shock of a bad purchase.
That drops us right into Section 4, the spoiled discovery and the ruined meal. This is the exact moment everything falls apart. Kharab. That one specific Pashto word echoes repeatedly through the latter half of the transcript. Spoiled, bad, ruined. It's absolutely crucial to realize that this word acts as the absolute turning point of our scene's plot. The power dynamic instantly shifts from a polite shopkeeper and a willing customer to an angry buyer and a super defensive seller. It's literally the linguistic catalyst for all the chaos that follows.
And naturally, the transaction quickly breaks down. The text fragments show Jamil reacting with intense frustration. I mean, he's holding a plate of spoiled crow biryani, which, let's be honest, didn't sound too appetizing to begin with. So the local shop setting completely devolves into a loud, chaotic argument. Those respectful assalamu alaikums from earlier, completely gone, replaced by rapid-fire grievances about this ruined meal.
So how does a cartoon like this resolve such a messy dispute? Let's check out Section 5, the inevitable return and closing the comedic loop.
The transcript gives us this vital term, wapas. It means to return or give back. And this brilliantly illustrates how the narrative forces the entire transaction to go in reverse. Jamil isn't just going to accept the spoiled food, he demands a return. He wants his rupees back. The forward momentum of the purchase basically hits a brick wall and violently bounces backward.
But here is where the absolute genius of the scene really shines. The interaction essentially ends on the word shuro, which translates to start or begin. The interaction doesn't just end with a simple refund,
It resets. The cartoon is built on this cyclical comedy structure. Because the transaction was voided, Zaman Baba and Jamil are doomed to start the whole maddening process, probably even those endless looping greetings, all over again from square one.
Which leaves us with this final burning question. If the transaction just resets and starts over, does the cycle of the spoiled crow biryani ever truly end? We've decoded a brilliantly chaotic, infinite comedic loop today. It goes from over-the-top politeness to a rapid purchase to a disastrous discovery, all leading straight back to a complete reset. It's honestly a masterclass in using repetitive language to create frustration and humor. So the next time you're stuck in a repetitive loop at the grocery store, just remember Jamil and Zaman Baba's eternal shop debate. Thanks for joining me on this explainer, and always keep questioning what's hidden inside the chaos.